Hey guys, this is Sean Kanan, and you are listening to the Then Is Now podcast.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hi, this is Re-Gor, host of Then Is Now podcast and The East Meets the West. I just wanted to say thank you to all of our Patreon subscribers. We appreciate your support as we grow the audience for our shows. You could find our links to our Patreon page as well as our TeePublic page at havenpodcasts.com. With Patreon, you'll get a lot of exclusive stuff, including our monthly pop culture newsletter, cool gifts, discounts for TeePublic, and our special exclusive show, Then Is Now Filmmakers series, in which we interview directors, producers, writers, composers, special effects guys, basically anybody who works behind the scenes in film and television, and get their insights into the process of creating films and TV shows. Also at our TeePublic page, you'll find cool merch that you can get or even give to others as gifts. You can find those links at our website, or you can go directly to tpublic.com/stores/havenpodcasts and patreon.com/thenisnowpodcast. Enjoy!
What kind of a sick school is this?
Uh-oh, don't go!
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
You got spunk. I hate spunk.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Oh, righty then.
How you doing? Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Say hello to my little friend.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
What are you people? On dope?
Stop whining.
I got a crap on deck that could choke a donkey.
Who is your daddy?
I'm sorry, but all questions must be submitted in writing.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Can I do that?
I'll be back.
A dynamite! Show me the money!
Don't! Up your nose will you never hold.
What?
I'm sailing! I'm sailing!
You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
Here's looking at you, kid.
We got no food, we got no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off!
Come to the coast and get together, have a few laughs.
Hear that, Elizabeth? I'm coming to join you, honey!
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
I love it when a plan comes together.
What we do is if we need that extra push over the cliff, you know what we do?
Put it up to 11.
11, exactly. One louder.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
We're on a mission from God.
Hello and welcome to another fun episode of Then Is Now podcast. I am your host, Re-Gor, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, filmmaker Chris Esper. How's things, man?
Yeah, things have been good. It's been kind of a crazy time. I just got back from Maryland this past weekend, going to a film festival down there to see my short film Undertaker playing on the big screen. So that was quite a blast.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Good for you, man.
Yeah. How about you? How's things been?
Things have been good. I think it's been good. It's been, it was nice and warm this past week, and now it was frickin' freezing today.
You should have seen it down in Maryland. It was hailing one day that we were down there. It was just like the clouds just opened up and just hail just came down and hit all of us. It was like, whoa.
Oh, that's funny.
Came out of nowhere.
We had that yesterday, too, up here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for like 10 minutes. It just hailed nonstop, and then it was done.
That's so insane. I mean, you look at it, it's late March. It's like, come on. It's like we want to see spring.
Yeah. Oh, my God. And I got this new toy. It's a lightning strike detector. And it's so cool because it goes off, and then like even my grandson's all over it, and he's like, "Oh, how many did we get this time?" We had like 10 lightning strikes in the past 2 days nearby, but we don't hear them because the thing measures up to 25 miles away, so it's really interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Where'd you get that?
Amazon.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
It's an AccuRite, and it was about $35.
That's not bad.
So it's pretty cool, yeah. And I'm not going to tell you today on today's episode why I decided to get... Oh, that was it beeping. Oh, is it detecting? Oh, it wants me to move it around because it's unable to detect. On next episode, I think I'll talk about why I decided to buy that. So, first off, today I wanted to make an announcement. Actually, Chris and I want to make an announcement. We've restructured our Patreon page to make it more affordable for people to support the show. So, there's now just one tier instead of 4, and it's only $3. That's right. For the price of a coffee, you can help support Then Is Now podcast, because, putting these podcasts up and on a weekly basis like we've been doing, or at least attempting to do it in the last couple months, it costs money. And if you guys could like the show and you want more, please help support us. So instead of the 4 tiers we had, there's now just one, and it gives you access to some great stuff. You'll get our special filmmaker series of episodes that you can't hear anywhere else, where we talk to directors, writers, producers, all kinds of behind-the-scenes people in film and television. And we've got one that we're going to post this week. So, Chris, who is on that episode?
So this month, we've interviewed television writer Ed Sherlock, who has worked on tons of TV shows, including That Girl, The Odd Couple, Mork and Mindy, and so much more. On Patreon, you'll get 10% off our TeePublic page, as well as the ability to submit suggestions for show topics and or guests that you would like to try us to book on the show. If your topic is discussed or a guest you suggest is booked, we will give you a shout out on that episode.
Awesome. That's right. And every month we're going to do a drawing for new members, and one lucky winner will receive a free copy of Sean Kanan's book, Way of the Cobra. And as longtime listeners, you may recall, we had actor, director, producer Sean Kanan on the show in episode 53. He was the bad guy in Karate Kid 3. And he also played a character named A.J. Quartermain on General Hospital for several decades. And now he's got his show Studio City that he's produced and I think he's directed. I think he's mainly produced and he's starring in. It's called Studio City. It's on Amazon. So he's a really great guy, and his book is awesome. It's it basically gives you tips on how to better your life, and not in a wacky or sappy kind of way. It's actual, like one of them is get up an hour earlier than you normally would, and that'll help you get your day going better. So there's a lot of great stuff in Way of the Cobra. So, one lucky person every month will win a copy of that book. And also, we are going to read what we call our people on Patreon. They're pop culture patrons, and we're going to read every one of your names as you sign up to join Patreon. So please help support the show. It's super cheap, $3. You can't beat that.
Again, only for the price of a cup of coffee.
Exactly. Okay, on to pop culture stuff. We talked about the new film, The Batman, last episode when Spency was here. And after that, I think after we recorded the Creature from the Black Lagoon episode, the wife and I took our grandson and her youngest son to see the movie Uncharted. Have you heard of this film?
I don't think I heard of this one, no.
It's an action movie with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg and Antonio Banderas. It was really good. I liked it. It's one of these things that I had no idea going into it because her son picked the film, and it's not one that I would have picked, but it was good because, first of all, I didn't know anything about the film. In fact, it's based on a PlayStation game, which I found out just before the film.
Huh.
And it's sort of like this treasure hunt. These guys go on this quest to find these keys that can open up these, I forget, they were like pirate ships that hid their gold somewhere in the world. So it's a globe-trotting, kind of an Indiana Jones style thing, but takes place in the modern day. Yeah, it was fun. It was very fun. And it's one of those ones I probably would never have seen if I didn't see it in the theater. So
yeah,
I was glad I saw it.
That's fun. Yeah, that's funny. I never heard of that one, but I like movies like that, so I should, find it and go see it.
Yeah, and it's funny too because, like, now at the movie theaters before the film, they'll play they might play behind the scenes stuff of the film you're about to see, and they had Tom Holland. Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg talking, and Tom Holland's British, and I always forget that. It's so weird.
That's funny.
To hear Spider-Man going, yeah, well, then we went down there, and this guy here, right, he tried to kill us, you know?
I can't picture that now that you say that. I forgot he was too.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, and actually, I'm going to retract something I said earlier. I'm going to tell you why I got the lightning strike detector today, because I wanted to tell you about my newest obsession. Have you ever heard of a place called Skinwalker Ranch?
I assume it's something to do with Skywalker Ranch. It's nothing to do with that.
No, it's not new to Star Wars fans.
I'm kidding.
No, it's a ranch in northern Utah. It's about 512 acres. And it is for, like, I don't know, hundreds, if not thousands of years, it's been a hotbed of paranormal activity in real life. And there's been UFO sightings, cattle mutilations, strange energy readings, radiation, magnetism, like beams of light coming out of the ground and stuff. And it's just crazy. And so I guess there was a family called the Shermans, and they owned it in the 1990s. And they got fed up with all this stuff that was going on. There was even been poltergeist activity, people hearing voices, sightings of portals opening up. And of course, the Skinwalker is a term used by Native Americans, and it's basically a werewolf. It's a person who can turn themselves into an animal. And so these things have also been cited. So long story short, I'll be brief, but I definitely think people should check out the show I'm about to mention. In the 90s, there was a family called the Shermans, and they bought the ranch, and they thought they were going to, ranch cattle and do whatever people do on a ranch. Well, this activity got so bad that they finally left, and they sold it to a guy named Robert Bigelow, who was a billionaire, and he created a group called NIDS, which was like the National Institute for Defining Science or something like that. And he brought a team in. He had some government funding, and they went in for 20 years now, from 96 to 2016. They studied the ranch, and it got so crazy that they finally gave up and left. And I guess for some reason, because government funding was involved, most of their findings are top secret. Nobody knows everything that they did. Like, some of the stuff has gotten out. There's a documentary called The Hunt for the Skinwalker where a lot of information got out about the ranch. So anyways, now we fast forward to the present. For the last couple of years, the History Channel, with executive producer Ken Burns, you know Ken Burns, of course, Chris?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely know Ken Burns.
Yeah, he executive produces this show, and it's beautifully shot. It's well done. They've got a new team now. There's a new owner of the ranch. So Bigelow went on to he created Bigelow Aerospace, so he's getting into, like, spaceships and stuff. So there's a new guy, I forget his name, but he's made his money in real estate, kind of a wealthy guy, and he's put this awesome team together that are now at the ranch, and they're studying it. And it's, when I say open to the public, I don't mean that people can go there. I mean they're recording it and making a show out of it and airing it on the History Channel. And I actually caught it on Hulu. Both the first two seasons are on Hulu, and I think the third one's on its way. And it is some amazing stuff. It will freaking blow you away. I'm talking about a regular television crew catching UFOs, for example, on the camera. And they got this guy. I don't know if you've ever watched any of the History Channel's documentaries, but this guy is an astrophysicist named Dr. Travis Taylor. And he's just awesome because he keeps going at this ranch with science. He got blasted with gamma rays for some reason at one point. He even had it caused a growth on one of his fingers that he had to have removed. Well, the growth, not his finger. Like, they'll do things like they'll try and launch rockets, these small kind of rockets, to see what happens. And they'll get, like, all of a sudden a UFO will just appear in the sky and then disappear. They had a cow that just dropped dead, and right above it, when they looked at the footage, there was a UFO right above it. And then a frame later, the UFO was like, 1,000 feet to the left.
Oh, wow.
The readings they're getting radiation readings, they're getting magnetic readings. And actually, they were testing the soil because they were starting to realize that, like, when they dug a hole in one place and stuck a measuring tape down it, all of a sudden the measuring tape swung to one side of it because the dirt was magnetized somehow. And
Oh.
so they did this experiment where they attached a power cable to a well, like a well that's a post that's going down deep into the ground. And then they put at the other end, 50 feet away, they put another post in that they, hammered into the ground, a metal post, and tied the other end of the wire to that. Then in between, they had a car battery and a voltmeter. And right off the bat, when they connected them all, the voltmeter went off. It was giving off like a lot of energy through the ground. So basically, with the exception of the battery and the equation, the ground conducts electricity too. Like across 50 feet. They were going to plug a flashlight into it to see if it worked, and one of the guys, his lightning detector went off every time they connected the wires. And that's what made me realize, there's such thing as a lightning detector. So I had to get one. But
that's funny.
You've got to see. I mean, even just go on YouTube and the show is called the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. And if you go on YouTube and just type that in, a bunch of clips from the show will come up, and they'll absolutely have you hooked.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I don't really watch those History Channel documentaries much, like my father does.
Like Ancient Aliens.
Right. I mean, honestly, the only thing I even remember or know about History Channel is the guy who's always in like every documentary on that channel, and he's like a meme, but he's got the guy with the crazy hair.
Yeah.
That's probably the only reason I would go to watch. It's just to see that guy because he's so expressive and so weird.
Funny. That's wicked funny. Yeah, I only recently I've been kind of getting back into paranormal and conspiracy stuff, and I heard a couple of shows talking about Skinwalker Ranch, and then I realized, there's an actual TV series about it, and it's really good because the thing that blows me away is the science that they get into, and it just gets scarier. It's like a realistic kind of scary. I'm like, oh my God, what is going to happen next? One guy had an injury. Literally, he was just using a bulldozer, and all of a sudden he came over sick, went to the hospital, and his skin on the top of his head had started to separate from his skull.
What?
Yeah. They show the x-rays of it. I mean, he's fine now and he's back and everything, but it's like, you ever get hit on the head and you get a lump on your head?
Sure.
It was like that, only larger, and it was right around where like you'd wear a yarmulke or like a bald spot or something. It was right around there.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy, and it's just so good. Like, even just watch the clips on YouTube if you get a chance. It's The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. And you might even recognize the Travis Taylor from the History Channel. I don't watch a whole lot of those documentaries. I've been catching Ancient Aliens here and there, and it was really the Skinwalker show that got me into it because it's just so fascinating. Like this is real shit that's really happening.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, no, I got to check that out.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I binge watch them. I don't normally watch TV shows more than once, and I may actually go back and watch this again. So, well, that's it for me. What have you been watching, if anything?
Not a whole lot lately. I mostly find myself rewatching stuff I'm familiar with just because, like, it's there. I know it's there. Like, lately I've been sort of going back and rewatching, or should I say studying, the films of Michael Cimino, who did
nice.
the Deer, like the Deer Hunter and Heaven's Gate. I like his work, and I like to study it. And he didn't really have a great career, as many know, because Heaven's Gate was such a big flop at the time of its release that it closed down a studio. It almost closed down a studio, I should say. So that's sort of like his histrionic of it. I find very fascinating. But yeah, I've sort of been rewatching and studying his films, sort of getting that creative bug for my own purposes when I make my next movie. Because sometimes you need that as an artist to sort of go back to the things that inspire you. And he happens to be a filmmaker that I enjoy watching.
That's awesome. I haven't seen Heaven's Gate, but I hear that you really should. That it's an amazing film.
It's not as bad as people say. I mean, it's almost 4 hours long. It's 3 hours and 37 minutes or something like that. God. So I mean, yeah, no, it's a long movie. And I can't say that it's the most thrilling or entertaining, but I mean, its reputation is far beyond what it actually is, because it's actually a good movie. I mean, there's some nicely acted scenes. The cinematography is probably the best I've ever seen in any movie. I think it's gorgeous. But yeah, not nearly the flop that many would say. I think the problem was the reason that it became such a infamous bomb was because of the problems that were behind the scenes, the fact that it went over budget, which at the time the budget was $44 million. It ended up being, which is like nothing in today's market for movies. Right. But at the time, it was the most expensive movie ever made. And the original budget, when it started production, was like $7.5 million. Which, I mean, to go from that to 44, yeah, it's a huge leap. So yeah, it's a. So yeah, I mean, so it was a lot of that. The Michael Cimino banned press from coming to the set. So there's like talk that maybe perhaps the reason critics were so nasty to it and to him were because they weren't allowed access to the set. They weren't allowed any kind of press coverage. So it was almost like getting back in a hostile treatment.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting movie.
Interesting. And I just looked it up. It's got an amazing cast. Chris Christopherson, Christopher Walken, John Hurt, Sam Waterston, Brad Dourif, Joseph Cotton, Jeff Bridges, Jeffrey Lewis, and Richard Mazer, who was in The Thing. Oh my God, that's incredible.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And Jeff Bridges, he had worked with Cimino on the previous, the first movie that he had made, which was Thunderbolts of Lightfoot. It's a movie with Jeff Bridges and Clint Eastwood.
Right.
Very fun movie. And of course, Christopher Walken was in The Deer Hunter, which, won Best Picture that year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. You just reminded me too. I saw my wife and I watched a movie on, I think it was made for Hulu. It was with Ben Affleck called Dark Water. And that was directed by Adrian Lin, who I knew him from Jacob's Ladder, but I forgot some of his other films, like what's the one? I can see the Glenn Close and Michael
Fatal
Douglas.
Attraction. Fatal Attraction.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did that one and a couple of other good thrillers. Which, by the way, I don't want to get too much on a tangent here, but I'm sorry. Fatal Attraction. Michael Douglas is married to Ann Archer.
Yes.
Who's beautiful. And then he has an affair with Glenn Close, who is far from beautiful. What the hell is wrong with him? I always said that after walking out of the movie. I'm like, what the hell was wrong with him to begin with? I suppose it would have been no movie, but... Oh, my God. But
that's funny.
Anyways, this movie, Dark Water, was like... I was like, okay, Adrian Lin, Ben Affleck. I didn't know anything else about it, but it's got to be good.
Yeah.
It was tense through the entire movie because you didn't know what was happening or why things were happening, and you kept trying to second guess it, and like I kept getting things wrong, and then it just falls flat in the end. I looked at my wife. I was like, "What the hell did we just watch?"
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Adrian Lin. You just reminded me. I just watched a documentary a few days ago about the studio. What's it called? I'm gonna get the name wrong. I think it's Carlico Pictures. They were from like the 80s and 90s. They did a bunch of like action movies, like Rambo.
Carlico, yeah.
Carlico, thank you. I'm sorry.
Terminator films.
Yeah. Like there was a great documentary I found on YouTube about them and about how they lost so much money because they put so much money into their pictures. Like Terminator 2 was their most expensive at the time, and it's a really good documentary.
Oh, cool! I think I heard about that. I have to check that out too.
I think it's called Total Excess: the rise and fall of whatever the company name is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carlico. Because I like those independent companies that existed then, like Canon Film Group. Like they were big. There's a great documentary about them too.
Oh, too funny.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I loved all that stuff too. And it's actually funny that you brought that up because pretty soon on the show we're going to have Eric Eichelberger, who had created that documentary Exploit This. You remember him?
Yes.
And we talked about all those, fly-by-night distribution companies and whatnot. So he'll be coming back in a month or so. So
very cool.
For today, folks, we have a great guest. When we recorded this, of course, our schedule didn't work out, so Chris wasn't able to make it. So I went solo. So we're going to present to you an interview I did with an actor who's in a new independent horror film. And we had a great conversation. So sit back and enjoy the show. Class is in session.
I have a bad feeling about this.
How could I possibly be expected to handle school on a day like this?
Food fight!
Hey, you in my class?
I am today.
I think you should consider transferring to shop class. Woo! Now, very few students are severely injured in shop class.
Bueller.
When you were in school,
Bueller.
did you ever cut class?
Bueller.
Yeah, I guess I did. Sure, most kids cut classes.
Good, sign this. He's sick.
I get so lonely when I hear that third attendance bell ring and all my kids are not here.
7 years of college down the drain.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
You lack discipline. As long as I'm here, there will be no grades or gold stars or demerits. We're gonna have recess all the time.
Woo!
Go, play, and have fun now.
Okay, folks, today we have a special guest on the show, a man who's been in theater and dance for the last few years and is now getting into filmmaking as an actor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Hunter Redfern. Welcome to the show, Hunter.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Hunter.
I pronounced your name correctly, correct?
Right. I think so, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Not many ways you can say Hunter.
Right.
But yes, thank you.
Awesome. Glad to have you here, man. So,
Yes,
one of the things we ask first-time guests on the show is, how did you get onto the path of acting?
I've been in theater, show choir throughout high school, and after I got out of high school, I started doing theater and dance. I joined a dance group here in Wilmington, North Carolina, and eventually, as I finished college, because I went to college for history. And after I got out of college, I'm like, you know what? Let's start pursuing this. And if all this doesn't work out, I can just be a history teacher. and so it was always teaching has always been the fallback plan. So now it's the plan has been to get into film. It's just I've had certain people that have allowed me to be a part of their dance group and theater things. And now I'm just trying to get into film since I've already got some of that stuff under my belt.
Awesome. So you have a lot of dance experience. How did that come about?
Oh, to be honest, I'm not really a good dancer. I'm the tall, handsome guy that picks people up in the group. I'm part of a contemporary dance group.
So you're Bobby to the sissy?
Pretty much. I don't know the reference, but I'm pretty sure I am.
Sorry. Yeah. It's a Lawrence Welk reference. I'm old.
But yeah, my show choir director in high school, after I got out of college, I got in touch with him and I'm like, hey, do you know any modeling stuff? Because I didn't know what I was supposed to be asking. And he's like, yeah, I can help you out. Just do you want to help me out with my dance group? I'm like, I don't know how to dance, but sure. He's like, you're just gonna have to pick people up and throw them around. I'm like, sure, I can do that. And so one thing led to another. I just got put in the group.
That's awesome.
And now I'm doing this, just auditioning. I got my headshots and doing all this.
That's awesome. Well, it's good to be well-rounded, too, as an actor. If you can dance, and like when they say, hey, can you ride a horse? You got to be like, yeah, even if you've never been on a horse in your whole life.
I'm telling them that I've ridden a horse for years, even if I haven't ridden one.
That's awesome. So speaking of dance, you made me think of this question because the first movie that came to mind is actually the second movie that I should mention, but the sequel to Saturday Night Live, Saturday Night Fever, is Staying Alive, which I think I'm the only person on the planet that likes that movie. Have you seen either one of those, Staying Alive or Saturday Night Fever?
I've seen Saturday Night Fever. It was a long time ago, but the second one, I didn't know there was a second one, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I only watched it because the actress that's in it, I'm in love with. She's Finola Hughes. She's on General Hospital. But yeah, it's funny because that's an interesting one because, like the first one, it was just all about the disco dancing, which the first one is a great movie. If listening at home, if you haven't watched Saturday Night Fever, you really need to. But the second one is now Travolta's character has kind of moved on, and he's dancing in these musical plays. And he's trying to.
He's not a disco guy. He's not a disco guy.
Not the second one. No. Well, it was into the 80s now, so I guess they wanted to progress the character, and it's just really it really is a fascinating story because he's working with this chick who's kind of a jerk to him, but then he turns around and he's a jerk to his girlfriend. So it's an interesting story. I don't think it's as terrible as people make it out to be.
Yeah, I haven't really heard anything about that. Not heard anything about the movie, but yeah, I've only seen the first one, and you're the first person to ever tell me that there's a second one. So.
Well, I recommend it, and you know what? Sylvester Stallone directed it.
Oh, is he a good dancer? I couldn't.
No, I don't think Stallone dances unless it's with a gun.
I couldn't imagine Stallone being like, my next movie I want to direct.
Yeah,
Saturday Night Fever 2.
No kidding. And it's funny because his brother Frank Stallone did a lot of the music for it, which is actually not too bad, surprisingly. Oh man! So in terms of theater shows, what theater shows have you worked on?
A lot of the contemporary dance pieces we've had, I've actually played certain characters since a lot of the dances we've done have been like Black Lives Matter things. The first one I ever did was that was part of the group was Black White, and I was pretty much playing the racist white douchebag of the group. And that's what that's the first thing he even said to me. He's like, "Can you play this racist white douchebag?" And I'm like, sure, I can do that. I'm like,
that's awesome.
And yeah, and a lot of the things we did one contemporary dance on the shootings at the what's it called, the Pulse nightclub. So we had to pretty much get in a character for that, and where we're all pretty much in a club setting and pretty much putting that through dance, or letting that be known through dance. So there's acting and dance needing to be shown during that on stage.
Interesting. And in terms of theater, is there a play or dance that you would like to do that you haven't done yet?
Dude, I'm a sucker for Rent, because I was Roger in like a theater play and I bombed. I didn't study my lines. I was just I did One Song Glory a bunch of times while at the gym, just like by myself, just singing One Song Glory, doing curls. And I thought I was going to be amazing on stage, but little did I know I had like 8 other songs that I just mumbled through on the stage.
That's awesome.
And yeah, if I could redeem myself, I would.
That's hilarious.
But yes, Rent's one of the ones, and also The Greatest Showman. I really like The Greatest Showman.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
I liked it.
That's the Hugh Jackman movie, right?
Yep, Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron, Zendaya.
Yep. Interesting. So you're moving into film now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a film aside from Rent? Is there a film that you would like to do that would be sort of a musical made into a film?
Honestly, not really. I'm more interested in. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I don't really know how to read music that well.
Okay.
And I feel like that's something that's really needed in something like going out for like auditioning for musicals. Like I know I'm a baritone, but just getting, the parts and, being with casting directors and all the people that you have to talk to get a role.
Right.
Like just not knowing how to read music will probably set me back a lot.
So why would you have to read music if you're performing in it?
because if you're in a musical, a good portion of the movie, I guess you could say, if it's a musical movie,
Yeah.
will be, or at least the ones that everyone's going to be looking at, or not looking at, but remembering, is going to be the musical parts.
Yeah.
Especially, plus there's going to be a soundtrack to the movie that's going to be put out, and it's honestly not really something that I'm interested in, like singing. Like I like it, but I'd rather transform myself into a different character and act it out while not singing.
Right. I know a lot of people that have problems with trying to watch a movie that's a musical where, it breaks into song, and that's actually part of the dialogue of the film as well.
Yeah,
that they can't wrap their head around it. And I used to be like that until college, back when I had a dinosaur. And, I took a course. I was minoring in film studies, and I took a course on musicals in the cinema. And I came out loving them. I watched Everything You Need to Know About... what was it? Yeah, Everything You Wanted to Know About Business Without Even Trying. What were some of the other ones? Oh, of course, West Side Story and Sound of Music.
Yeah.
And there was one other that I was just thinking of. I can't... it's not coming to my head right now. But yeah, I kind of came out really liking them, although I did not like... what was the one that came out a couple years ago? 3-4 years. Sha-na-na. No, it wasn't Sha-na-na. Was
it Les Mis?
No. Oh, La La Land.
Oh.
I fell asleep through that.
Dude, a lot of people didn't like Cats.
Oh, really? Oh, I liked Cats. Yeah.
I heard a lot of bad stuff about Cats for some reason.
That's interesting. So enough about musicals. So why don't you tell us about your work in film? Now you're currently working on a film, correct?
We actually just finished up with The Wendigo.
Oh, excellent.
And
excellent.
Very excited about The Wendigo. Like the cast and crew of The Wendigo were just so amazing. Like you couldn't ask for a better cast and crew. Like,
awesome.
Honestly.
Now, is this your first film?
Feature film? Yes, it is my first feature film.
Excellent.
Which it's ironic because it's a found footage horror movie, and I've told people forever that my favorite genre of movie is found footage horror.
Oh, okay.
Like I love it. I just love like seeing or watching a found footage horror because it's mostly like a bunch of friends going to do something, and I like to picture myself as a friend and then what my friends are in the movie. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Now it's interesting because I don't not like found footage films. However, when I saw Blair Witch Project, and there was another one made locally in Boston called Next Stop Wonderland, and Cloverfield, all three of those, I got car sick in the theater watching the movie because of the shaky cam. But the one found footage film that I loved was it was called Diary of the Dead. It was the fifth, I think, zombie film by George Romero, who did Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, all those. And he knew when to put the camera down. He knew when to not. So it wasn't shaky cam from the moment it started till the moment it ended. You know, I've had bad experiences with them, which, like, don't get me wrong, Cloverfield, I love the premise.
Oh yeah. Cloverfield's my favorite found footage.
Oh, nice.
But it was shaky. Oh, it was shaky.
Oh my God, yeah.
you gotta like roller coasters if you want to watch that movie.
That's funny. So tell us about the Wendigo. What's it about? I mean, obviously there's a Wendigo involved, but
yeah, pretty much this big influencer Tyler, who is, you see him at the beginning of the movie. He is going out there to explore the Wendigo myth, and he, in short, he goes out there and gets ganked. And we think, and we go out there to see if I play the character Jay, and there's a bunch of other influencers that pretty much go out to find Tyler because we're friends with Tyler, and we think that he's just messing with us. So we're like, okay, let's go find Tyler, and needless to say, we get ganked.
Oh God! Spoiler alert!
And yeah,
that's cool.
But a lot of it is what I really loved about making this film and filming it is the director Jake has been amazing. Was amazing. And everyone who's the cast, 80% of the film we improved.
Oh wow.
And we were able to do that because all of us just clicked well together.
Yeah.
And we were able to, instead of just have this based dialogue that we had to remember and, these cues to do things, everything just came more naturally since we were able to just improv everything.
That's great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's awesome. And so obviously the director gave you kind of free reign to do with what you wanted with the character.
Yes. What's funny is the director was actually part of the cast. Like
nice.
And it's nice because he was able to his camera. I think because his camera was so good and he's experienced in holding a camera, because I actually was holding a different camera than him, and there'll be some of my shots in the film, but his camera, there'll be not a lot of shaky cam, which is going to be good for you people like you.
Oh, good. Now, do you find, is there, like, because more than one character has a camera, do you happen to know in the post-production process when they're putting it together, do you have way more footage than the average film does that you've got to kind of cut together?
I would assume so. The biggest problem I had, or that I feel would be, is from me, whenever I was filming, since I'm an actor, I don't really, I don't know the film, I don't know the shots, I don't know how, and I'm also acting at the same time while I'm recording.
Right.
A lot of the stuff that I filmed was neck to belt, so I didn't get anyone's face. And dude, there were a few shots that I forgot to turn my camera's mic on, so we had to morning to just middle of the day, we had to do so many reshoots because my camera was just
shit
bad. Yeah. Which, when you only have 4 to 5 days to film, it was a little stressful.
That's hilarious. Oh my god. So now you said, oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
But along with all the footage, we have footage from one person's camera on their phone. We have my footage on the camera I was holding. We have camera from Jake's camera, which is he plays TJ, and we have trail cams. So all that put together, and Tyler's camera on his phone.
Oh, interesting. So back up for a second. So the trail cams, now, are those ones that you guys put there? And is it worked into the story that, oh yeah, hunters come through here and they put up trail cams, or
it works in the story. I don't want to give away too much, but it works with the story.
Okay, awesome.
Definitely,
that's cool. And now you guys were shooting out in the woods, correct? I assume.
Yes, we actually rented a campground for about a week, or 5 days to a week, and we got to stay on campground. They fed us. We all got to eat together, even though we only had 4 hours of sleep each night.
Yeah,
it was definitely grueling at times, I'll tell you that.
At that point, though, I would imagine even though it's grueling, there's still got to be an element of fun to it, because you're all 100%. Doing it together. It's not like, oh, I got to get up and go to the office, or I got to go, turn the cash machines on, or,
Yeah, maybe grueling wasn't a good word. More of, at times it was, you feel it, and then you're like, oh, I got to get another energy drink.
Right.
I probably had 25 monsters while we were there.
Oh my god! Wow.
Man.
That's hilarious. So now you said this was your first feature. Had you done short films before this?
Ironically, no. I got really lucky with this. Jake actually signed me on to be in his next film, which is really nice, because during filming I was so stressed out to making sure that I was, acting well. And he kept on reassuring me, yeah, you're doing good. Do not worry. You're doing great. I'm like, okay, just making sure.
That's interesting. So your first experience in front of the camera, now you're coming from a stage background, whether it's a theater or dance or what have you, how did you sort of mentally approach it going into it, having never been in front of the camera before?
I had been in acting, like I'm taking acting classes right now. So I know what it's like to be in front of a camera. And also when it comes to stage, whenever you get anxiety, I've pretty much trained myself to whenever I'm about to get on stage, the feeling of anxiety is the same thing as when you're like excited about something, when you're anxious about something.
Right.
And so every time I feel anxiety or I feel myself getting anxiety, I'm pretty much like forcing my body to be like, oh yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm not nervous. I'm excited. And so I just get really excited before I get on camera, to be honest.
That's awesome.
And yeah, that's pretty much how I deal with it. And also just getting into character. Luckily the character that I play isn't really far off from me. And I definitely added some aspects of my personality into it.
Nice.
So it was definitely a lot easier, especially because, it's found footage. So you're not doing like, a take of two people doing like, or one shot of both people, one shot of just one person or the other person. And it's pretty much one fluent sort of natural thing, since you're not really, the characters know the camera's there, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. That's awesome, dude. That's so cool. It's funny, like I have no problem speaking in front of people as long as I'm prepared and I know what I'm going to speak. But if like we go to a comedian and he pulls me out of the audience, I choke. Forget it. I'm done.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And also like I do a stand-up, some like open mics.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's really helped me too, especially with improv. Like I think that Jake actually got me into his next movie as comedic relief.
Oh, nice.
One of the characters, because of just the improv and just being able to naturally just flow.
That's awesome. Have you ever watched Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I watched that back in college when it was the British version on Comedy Central.
Oh, dude.
Which still had Colin and Ryan on it.
Yeah, dude, there's not much on Comedy Central anymore, unfortunately. Like, there's just not much.
Yeah, I haven't watched that in recent times. So are there any people that you have that have inspired your career?
Are you talking about who I look up to in terms of like other like pretty much famous actors?
Yeah, like you watch Star Wars and you're like, oh my God, Mark Hamill's awesome. I want to be just like him, or Harrison Ford.
I think a lot of I really like Chris Pratt, dude. Like Chris Pratt is just, his personality just makes me just want to emulate it. Like, because in any situation, the dude's just a positive guy.
Yeah.
Like any interview, every character, just a positive, funny guy. And that's one person that I really want to, like I said, emulate.
Nice. That's awesome. And so, what kind of films do you enjoy? Now, you said you like found footage films. Are you a horror fan?
I would say I'm a horror fan. Like, I'm definitely down to clown with some horror. But let's see. I'm down for some musicals, but not all of them. It's got to be a good premise behind the musical, like Greatest Showman. I really like that. Comedies, definitely, because I'm a comedian, and also stand-up comedy. I mean, if you want to count those as movies, I love watching stand-ups, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Richard Pryor had the stand-up movie. Eddie Murphy, Delirious, I think.
What comedians do you like?
I haven't listened to a whole heck of a lot of new ones. I mean, I go back to, of course, Eddie Murphy and Stephen Wright and Emo Phillips, all those guys. Henny Youngman. I mean, I'd go way back on a lot of these comedians. But the newer ones, who's the dude?
Classics.
Who's the dude? I can't think of his name now. And I know he's got like a TV show or a podcast or something. He's got red hair and he does the whole routine.
Bill Burr?
Bill Burr? No, it's not Bill Burr.
Red hair.
Yeah.
Carrot Top?
No, not Carrot Top. Oh, definitely not Carrot Top. No.
Dude, everyone shits on Carrot Top. It's so funny.
I just find him annoying, but I can appreciate his humor,
What I think is hilarious about Carrot Top is he's in interviews. He said, like, dude, I think he was interviewing or talking to Shaun White, Shaun White's the famous snowboarder with also with red hair.
Okay.
And Shaun White had asked Carrot Top if he should cut his hair, and Carrot Top's like, do it. You need to do it. You can. I can't. This is my brand. If I cut my hair, I'm nothing.
That's hilarious. No, it's the guy who does the routine about the Hot Pockets, and he's like, why would you eat those? He's like, they should just change the name. Diarrhea Pockets.
Jim Gaffigan?
Yes, Jim Gaffigan. That's the guy.
He just had a special that just came out.
Good one. That's
Dude,
good call.
He is hilarious. He's one of those comedians that a lot of comedians actually look up to.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's been in the game, and he's also really clean, which is really nice.
Yeah, he's great. The other one is, oh my God, you put me on the spot now, and I'm choking.
You good, bro? We're just talking.
Who's the guy? Brian Regan. I love Brian Regan.
Yeah, my voice just cracked. I think I just hit puberty.
You can re-say that in a deep voice there.
All of a sudden, dude. Speaking of deep voices, there's a dude on set. Jake, the director's cousin. This dude's 15 years old, got a 30-year-old voice.
Oh my God.
It's insane.
That's awesome.
This dude walked into the trail. Hey guys. I'm like, dude, do you have a voice changer installed in your trachea? Like, what's going on?
That's awesome. Yeah, Brian Regan's a great one. He's the one I always quote him because I've done it myself where he goes, don't you love when the waitress gives you your food and goes, have a good dinner, and you go, you too. Or the cab driver drops you off at the airport, have a good trip, you too.
Oh man.
So you like comedy films? You like how far back do you go in terms of can you appreciate comedies from the 50s and 60s, or do you just don't go there?
One comedian I've watched a lot is Rodney Carrington, and he's like, I get no respect.
Oh, Rodney Dangerfield.
That's what I meant to say, Rodney Carrington. I think that's a different comedian. No, I think it's a country singer. I think it's a fucking country singer. Hey, dude, I like Rodney Carrington too.
You're not giving him any respect there.
Yeah, Rodney Dangerfield. Damn, I fumbled that ball. But Rodney Dangerfield, Mitch Hedberg.
Oh, Mitch Hedberg's great. Yeah.
The guy who screamed.
Oh, Sam Kinison.
Yep, him.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Those guys are so good. I mean, Richard Pryor was great. I hate this. Well, I don't hate to say it. I feel bad saying this, but Bill Cosby's early routines are hilarious. I have all his LPs.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, just there's a thing. Like, yeah, there's Bill Cosby, but separating his comedy from him, like, it's a touchy subject. But his comedy specials were good. His personality, definitely not one to be emulated.
Right. Right. Exactly.
But yeah,
that's one of those situations where you have to separate the art from the artist.
Mm-hmm. Just like what's his name? The guy who peed on people. What was his name?
Marilyn Manson.
Wait, Marilyn, dude.
I don't know. I was just.
I don't think anyone complained about that. I forgot his name. It's gonna, dude. Oh, dude. It's gonna destroy me. The guy who got whatever.
Well, you've heard, Danny Thomas.
Oh, Danny, I do not.
Oh, okay. He's a famous comedian from like the 50s and 60s and 70s, and his daughter is Marlo Thomas. She was on a TV show called That Girl, and she got pretty famous. But anyways, the rumor is that Danny Thomas used to do this thing where he would get a bunch of prostitutes into his hotel, or I don't know if it was his hotel or his house or whatever, and he had a glass coffee table, and he would lie under it, and they would climb on top and take a shit on it. And he would watch and get off on that.
Damn, dude.
And I think he was on a show called Make Room for Daddy or something.
Yeah, make room for some feces.
Right.
This show should be called. It's R. Kelly, by the way, the guy who I was talking about.
I have heard of him. Yeah. Is he like a rap star or something?
I think he's in jail now, but he's definitely He definitely, I think he peed on a 15-year-old girl while on stage.
God.
I mean, dude, when you gotta go, no, I'm just kidding.
Turn away from the audience.
Yeah, for real. He's like, they should have a porta potty on stage for the singers and rappers.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Oh man. So, as an actor, as you're moving into film now, do you have something in mind that you're looking for in a director?
Not really. I honestly see. I mean, obviously, someone who's good to work with, but if you're, let's just say, I know Quentin Tarantino. I saw an interview with Jamie Foxx, talking about how pretty much when he was filming Django, that Jamie Foxx was coming into the role like in his first few scenes, like all cool and all that, and then Quentin Tarantino like took him aside after a bunch of takes and was like, you're not cool yet, you're a slave," and pretty much yelling at him. And then Jamie Foxx fixed it, and then the guy who was interviewing Jamie Foxx was like, "How did you feel about that?" He's like, "I was completely fine with it." Like that's just him directing. So I don't really have a problem with somebody like, telling me I'm doing something wrong or telling me what I'm doing isn't their vision.
Right.
Because, I'm just the actor. I'm just trying to do what the director's telling me to do.
Right. Exactly. I've heard Rob Zombie is an amazing director to work with. We had Dee Wallace on the show, the mother from E.T., and she was in Cujo, and
oh wow.
In fact, I think she was in was it The Devil's Rejects? No, it might have been 3 from Hell, Zombie's third film in that trilogy, and she said he was just a wonder to work with. Like he really kind of like had you do it the way it was written, and then said, "Okay, why don't you do it your way and see what happens?"
I hear so many good things about Rob Zombie. That he's just a great guy.
Yeah. Which is funny because now people are all shitting all over the fact that he's doing the Munsters. They're like, he's going to fuck it up and all this stuff. I'm like, no, give him a chance. I think it's going to be good.
People said Robert Pattinson was going to screw up Batman. Look at him now.
God. Did you see Batman?
I did not.
Oh.
But I've heard a lot of good things. I was supposed to see yesterday, but I slept in.
I won't spoil it, but I saw it over the weekend, and I have to say it's... Now, all right, let me preface this.
You can spoil it. You can spoil it. You're good, dude.
Well, I don't want to ruin it for you, but
Okay.
I saw Batman 1989 when that first came out with Michael Keaton, and I saw it 5 times in the theater. It took me 5 times to realize I fucking hated that movie. I thought the Christopher Nolan Batmans were good. They were great because they took Batman to the next level. They made it more realistic and more darker and all this stuff, and he could actually turn his head and all that stuff. This one takes all that Christopher Nolan stuff and bumps it up a notch. Batman is fucking scary in this movie.
Nice.
It's darker and grittier and just way off the charts from the last one. Oh, and more realistic, in my opinion, in terms of, again, not giving anything away, but like in the Christopher Nolan ones, he's working on things like, I need something to help me jumping large spaces, like from building to building. I need a car that can do the shit. And it's like, that was cool and that was kind of realistic. But now when you look back after watching this new one, you're like, oh, wow, that's fantasy. This is actually very realistic because Batman's not perfect. He makes mistakes. Shit happens to him when he uses his grappling hook. I highly recommend this movie. It's very good.
Yeah, definitely. Like everyone's recommended to me. I've heard like one person say bad thing about it, and it's the type of person like I don't value their opinion. So like on anything else. So whenever they said that, I'm like, yeah, they usually have the wrong opinion. So I'm like, all right, so this is going to be a good movie.
There you go. That's hilarious. So in talking about directors and what you may be looking for in a director, do you think, in your opinion, do you feel that maybe directors should study acting along with their craft in filmmaking?
I think if they have a vision for a movie or a film, short film, whatever, if they have a vision that they have, I don't think they necessarily need to. I mean, yeah, it definitely would help, but if they are wanting a certain thing and they know what they want, it's up to the actor to kind of hit, or for them to tell the actor, like maybe studying that so they can tell the actor what to do. But I don't know if it's completely necessary. Just storytelling and getting the shots in. I mean, but I'm no film director, so I'm not. I don't know.
Do you see that in your future someday?
Distant future.
Yeah.
I'd say distant future. Distant future. I already write a little bit, and maybe in the distant future. But right now, I really need to get my repertoire up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. So, what drew you to the script of The Wendigo?
Honestly, I was looking at NC filmmaking and casting. And they said, or Jake had posted, which is the director, 25 plus, or 23 to 29 or 23 to 30. And influencer type, YouTuber type, and somebody who, was a YouTuber, I guess. And that was pretty much what he said, male. And I'm like, okay. Let's see. I might as well message him. I messaged him. He got back up with me with like 2 hours later. I was out with my girlfriend at a Mexican restaurant, and he wound up Facebook calling me. And I told my girlfriend, 1 second, business call. And I got up and walked out. And he was like, hey, can you do an audition today in about an hour? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Send me the script. And he sent me the script. I went back to my girlfriend. I was like, we got to go. Let's get this to go. And cited the script in the car, did the audition, and they wound up really liking me, thankfully. And it just, apparently this film was in the works for about 2 years. And I got on the last 3 weeks before they started filming.
Wow. That's awesome.
And yeah, it's just a really big stroke of luck. I'm just,
good for you.
Very lucky.
That's so cool. And did you, like, when you applied for it, what was your attitude? Were you like, yeah, if I get it, I get it, I don't care, and you kind of put it out of your mind, and then all of a sudden you got the call, or were you kind of like hoping against hope that you would get this one?
There's probably more hope because it was found footage horror. So I was like, oh, dude, if I really got this, oh my God, I feel pretty good. And the fact that I did get it, and it's like my first feature film, like it's honestly very special to me that I got this. Nice. And whenever I did apply for it, when you apply for something, at least for me, you kind of just put in the back burner until like you hear something back. But right after I gave my audition and I, got off the Zoom call, and because it was a Zoom audition, like 15 minutes later, they sent me a message back and it was like, hey, we want you back in. We really like you. Like, can you do something else for us? And I'm like, oh God, yeah. And that's when I was like, oh God, this is actually might be something. And I did the second take or second audition, and then I left the room. I was like, all right, girlfriend wanted to go out somewhere. I'm like, give me a second. Then I get another call like 5 minutes later, like, hey, you got the part. I'm like, oh wow, okay,
that's awesome.
And here I am on your podcast about 3 months later, or 2 months later.
Nice. How long was the shooting?
Like 5 days.
Oh wow.
Yep.
That's awesome.
But we stayed there overnight, and
yeah, like you said, you only slept 4 hours a night, so
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, good for you, man. Good for you. Any idea? I mean, I know you said you just finished filming, so any idea what their time frame may be for the release?
Official trailer should be out within 2 weeks. The movie is going to be put into festivals right before I think around September, October, for all the Halloween movies. And Dread Central actually just put a piece out for us on their Facebook page. If you know what Dread Central is.
Yeah, of course.
And that's really cool.
And
also,
sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was like, you want me to send you? I can send you a link if you want.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I'll,
when the trailer comes out, definitely. We'll post the Dread Central article, and then when the trailer comes out, send me the link for that too.
Okay.
And we'll promote that.
Here, I just put that in chat.
I'd love to have have everyone back on. I know you and I briefly earlier talked about having other people on. Love to get the director and anybody else that's interested. We'll get you guys together, sort of maybe a couple weeks before it premieres. Now, is it going theatrical? Do you know, or are they going straight to streaming?
It's all up in the air right now.
Yeah,
like I know there are some distributors looking, but also the film festivals are going to have a lot of eyes and big eyes. They're gonna have big eyes on these big eyes looking, and so I'm pretty sure the director wants to weigh his options before choosing something.
Right, that makes sense.
So right now, like people definitely, or distributors definitely want it, but I know one of them said that this could be our generation's Blair Witch. So that's good. It's good to know. It's good to know you have some praise before it's out.
Well, that's awesome, man. I got to ask you, talking about found footage films, you made me think of, have you seen, and you must have if you're a found footage fan, the granddaddy of all found footage films, Cannibal Holocaust?
Dude, I've heard about it. I have heard that it was the found footage film before found footage was
films.
Even
exactly. Yeah, you have to see it. It's disturbing.
It was banned in countries everywhere.
Yeah.
And what is like the director had mentioned it to me a little bit because me and him talked about found footage for a little bit before we even got on set.
Okay. It's an Italian film. It's directed by a guy named Ruggero Deodato, and it's basically this group goes into the jungle to film stuff, and they encounter cannibals, and so the resulting film is another group went in to find them and finds the footage. No pun intended. They find the footage and come back and piece it together as the movie that we see. So
yeah, dude, it was made in 1980. I definitely want to see this. It seems really cool. And was it? What did you think about it?
Oh, I rented that when I was a teenager. A buddy of mine and I, his sister rented us a shit ton of rated R movies, and that was one of them. And I never forgot it. And I own it on DVD now. I want to say I love it. I don't love it in the way that I love, say, Dawn of the Dead, because Cannibal Holocaust, there's some shit in it that's really nasty.
Oh, is it?
You can't unsee. But I still think, if you're a found footage completist or a cannibal film completist, it's definitely the one to see. There's other ones. There's Make Them Die Slowly, which I think is also known as Cannibal Ferox, and a bunch of other of these kind of similar films. But this one, and it was just funny because when I went to see the Blair Witch Project, and everyone was going, oh, found footage. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. And I had to think about it. I'm like, Cannibal Holocaust was a found footage film. Why is everyone thinking this is the first kind of this film? It's just, people forget things, and nobody, stuff falls out of the pop culture, which is the whole point of the show, is to remind people that there's stuff that came before. And, there's a reason why the stuff you like is cool is because the stuff that came before it is super cool,
Yeah.
So dude, check that out. Maybe I'll tell you what. If you maybe in the next month or two, if you watch this movie, you can come back on the show. I'll watch it too, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, dude, let's do it.
All right.
I'd love to.
That'd be great. I'm gonna write that down in my notes right here.
Cannibal Holocaust, because I honestly, gore doesn't really bother me. I watched I went backpacking in the UK, and before I went backpacking I watched all the hostels. So before I stayed in hostels all around the UK, I wound up watching all the hostel movies.
Oh good God, that would make me not want to go to a hostel.
Dude, it got a little sketchy at times, I'll tell you that.
That's funny. There's three movies in my adult life that, when I was a kid, I was terrified. My parents loved horror movies, and I saw all the horror movies. I was terrified through every one of them. The first horror movie that I wasn't scared of ever was John Carpenter's The Thing from '82, which is a classic. You've seen it, I assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
Now, the first film in my adult life that scared the shit out of me was called Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer with Michael Rooker, who you may know as Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy. That movie's about a couple serial killers, and it's just terrifying. Like a buddy of mine and I, who were probably in our early 20s, went to see it, and we were terrified to walk to the car.
Oh my God.
Then another friend of mine and I, a few years later, we rented a movie called The Descent about these women that go cave exploring. And we screamed like schoolgirls through the whole thing.
Descent. I think I've seen that movie. Descent.
Yeah. It's like they go down in these caves, and then there's like these creatures down there. And then one I saw when it came out, at least when it came out on video or streaming or whatever, that I will never, ever, ever watch again. It's called The Human Centipede.
Oh, yeah, dude.
It took me 2 nights to watch that, and both nights I had nightmares. And I'm like...
It's my favorite movie.
Oh, my God.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No.
Hey, every movie is somebody's favorite, you know?
Yeah. I remember I was on another podcast. I forgot it was. Yeah, I was on the Wicked Horror Show, and they were like, "Hey, what found footage movie got you into found footage?" And I'm like, "Oh, Two Girls, One Cup." And the dude was like, Angel was like, "Oh, that's a cult classic."
That's awesome. That's so good. Well, dude, this has been amazing. So glad to have you on, and would love to have you on again. Awesome. Like we said, talk about Cannibal Holocaust and whatever else you want to talk about. Maybe we'll talk about Batman if you've seen it by the time you get on the show.
Oh, yeah, I probably will.
That'd be awesome. Awesome. So, can you tell the folks where to find you online?
At the Hunter Redfern on Instagram. Definitely support the Wendigo page on Facebook. I think it's just the Wendigo. Here. Let me find
Wendigo. Okay.
Yeah. You want me to send you the link?
Yeah, if you send me the links, I can put them in the show notes.
The Dread Central link I had already sent. The Wendigo link is right there.
Awesome.
And yeah, the teaser trailer is already out, but
nice.
within a few weeks, the official trailer will be out. Probably before the end of the month.
Right.
Which is gonna be really nice.
Speaking of the Wendigo, there was a movie that had a Wendigo in it as the monster.
Antlers?
No, it was with of course my brain is on hold tonight. It's the dude that was he was in the remake of The Time Machine. He was the main character. He was in one of the Iron Man films. He wasn't Justin Hammer. He was like Tony Stark's old college friend, Guy Pearce. And the film that he was in that I'm talking about is from quite a while ago, Ravenous. I remember from the trailer for that movie. That's from 1999, and oh my God, the guy that plays Damien Dark on The Flash is in this. And there was a scene in it where I don't know, something happens, and one guy goes, "He was licking me," because he was going to eat him.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Robert Carlyle and David Arquette. I'm going to have to go back and watch this again. I love this cast, and I haven't seen this in ages. But it's in a remote military outpost in the 19th century, Captain John Boyd and his regiment embark on a rescue mission, which takes a dark turn when they're ambushed by a sadistic cannibal. And spoiler alert, I think the cannibal is a Wendigo in this.
Ooh.
So,
what's the name of it?
It's called Ravenous from 99.
1999?
Yeah. Space, 1999. That's a reference you probably didn't get either.
Nope.
It's a sci-fi show from the 70s that was really good. But anyways, dude, glad to have you on the show. And
that was fun.
Like I said, we'll have you back again in the future.
Oh, definitely.
So yeah, what'd you think of Hunter Redfern, man?
Yeah, that was fun to listen to, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing it. I'm not the biggest fan of the found footage horror movies, but there are a few that I like. There's actually one that Bobcat Goldthwait had made called Wolf Creek, I think it's called. I think that's what it was called.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that one's a good one. So like, if it's anything, sort of like that, I'm definitely up for seeing it. But yeah, it sounded sounds like a very interesting take on that genre.
Yeah. I want to see it, but as you heard on the interview, I'm not a fan of found footage films because I get motion sick when I watch them.
Yeah.
Like, I think Cloverfield's a brilliant movie. It's Godzilla from the point of view of the Panic Room, but I cannot ever watch that movie again because I literally got up and almost puked in the movie theater.
Yeah. Well, I feel like most people are sort of desensitized to it too because of the Blair Witch Project. Because like people, like that movie came out and it was just like, the floodgates open and suddenly everyone started to imitate it and it became just like old stuff. But like, I don't know. I think there's a few good ones here and there.
Yeah, and that got me sick too because I saw that in the theater as well, and I almost
did
puked.
you?
Yeah, and I just didn't like that movie either. I don't know. I had a lot of problems with the story in that movie. It might be one to revisit at some point, although I don't think I can. But
yeah. So let me retract. It's actually called Willow Creek. That was the Go With movie, not Wolf Creek.
Willow Creek. Right, because Wolf Creek's like an Australian horror movie.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Cool. Awesome. Well, folks, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to check out the film Wendigo that Hunter's in, and we will actually let you know when and where it's available. We'd love to hear from you and give us your opinion on the show. You can send your feedback to thenisnow42@gmail.com. You can also join in the conversation at our Facebook Then Is Now podcast group.
That's right, and That Is Now Podcast is a proud member of the Dorkening Podcast Network, so be sure to check out other great shows there at the dorkeningpodcastnetwork.com. You can find me at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under Stories in Motion, or you can look on my website, which is storiesmotion.com. You can also visit our website at havenpodcast.com, where you'll find our sister show, The East Meets the West, in which we discuss Shaw Brothers films and spaghetti western movies. And while you're there, check out the Patreon and TeePublic links to get some exclusive stuff.
That's right, folks. And Then Is Now is on YouTube, so please visit youtube.com/user/UncleDeath1 to get the latest videos as well as other fun videos. Please subscribe to our YouTube page and also share the video versions of our podcast with your friends and get them to subscribe as well. Don't forget to go wherever you download your podcasts from, and please leave us a great review, so that way more listeners can find us. The more 5-star reviews we get, the more we get bumped up the list of recommendations. You can find us on all the podcasting apps, especially the big three, iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. Class dismissed.
Then Is Now podcast is intended for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is copyright Jupiter Media.
For more shows like the one you just heard, check out the Dorkening Podcast Network at thedorkening.com.